Oh, you fucked up, all right? So what? So everybody does this. I'm in the dark here. You understand?
There are movies I revisit every year. Scent of a Woman is one of them. At first glance, it looks like a two-hander. A good kid, a bitter old man, a wild weekend in New York. But structurally and emotionally, this movie is doing something much more precise. This is not really a story about a prep school scandal, and it's not even primarily a coming-of-age story. At its core, Scent of a Woman is asking a far darker question. Is life still worth living when you feel useless, discarded, and finished? And the genius of the film is that it lets that question dominate the entire second act, then hands the story off at exactly the right moment. The film opens with Charlie, so it feels like his movie. But once we enter New York, the emotional spine quietly shifts. From sequence 3 through sequence 6, there's only one real dramatic question driving the film. Will Frank Slade live, or will he die? Charlie is not the protagonist of the second act. He's the witness, the mirror, the moral pressure. Frank Slade is the character in existential freefall, and the structure supports that very deliberately. Charlie Sims, scholarship kid, outsider, morally decent, financially stuck. Frank Slade, blind, brilliant, caustic, clearly dangerous. This is still Charlie's movie on the surface. Two problems are established. Charlie's integrity is tested by the school. Frank insists on going to New York. On the plane, Frank says, "Your education begins." That line isn't metaphorical, it's structural. This ends Act 1. The Oak Room. Frank reveals the plan. Have one last great weekend, then blow his brains out. This is the real beginning of the movie. From here on, the story is no longer, will Charlie get through the weekend? It's, will Frank actually go through with this? Thanksgiving dinner with Frank's brother. This scene matters enormously. Frank is dismissed by his own family. Charlie defends him. Frank defends Charlie. This is where genuine human connection begins, and that's exactly why the next beat is so brutal. This is where Bo Goldman does something quietly radical. The gun reveal doesn't belong cleanly to any sequence. It floats. It interrupts the story, and that's why it works. This is not an action midpoint, it's a moral reframing. The movie stops and asks, why do you care what happens to me? From this moment on, every pleasure scene is poisoned. Every joke has a countdown clock. Every smile carries dread. In a long feature, this is how you prevent second act sag. You restate the central question at highest stakes. The tango, the escort, the Ferrari. This is Frank at his absolute best, charismatic, alive, elegant, commanding. For a moment, it feels like the movie might let him live, but this is a false victory. Pleasure is not purpose, thrill is not meaning. The high cannot last. The hotel room. This is Frank's dark night of the soul. He says it plainly. I'm in the dark. Charlie doesn't give a speech. He doesn't solve Frank's pain. He simply refuses to leave. And that's the key. Frank puts the gun down not because life is suddenly beautiful, but because someone sees him as still worthy of care. The plan fails. Frank has not yet chosen a new life, but he has chosen not to end this one. That's the end of Act 2. Here's the move that makes Scent of a Woman exceptional. Once Frank chooses to stay alive, the story changes ownership. The central question is no longer, will Frank live or die? It becomes, will Charlie keep his integrity even if it cost him everything? That unresolved thread from Act 1 comes rolling back. The school hearing. Frank shows up, and now we see the transformation completed. He stands for something. He fights for someone else. He uses his voice with dignity, not bitterness. Frank saves Charlie's future because Charlie saved his life. This is the emotional climax of the film. Quiet, brief, earned. Frank is home. Charlie is changed. Life goes on. And that's exactly the point. In general, a midpoint reframes the story, sharpens the moral stakes, prevents drift. In Scent of a Woman, it does something more specific. It binds two character arcs together so tightly that resolving one makes resolving the other inevitable. Frank's survival enables Charlie's courage. Charlie's decency enables Frank's survival. That's not coincidence, that's structure. Scent of a Woman is not about rebellion, or masculinity, or privilege. It's about this. A broken man relearns his worth through the unshakable decency of a young stranger. Because that stranger sees something in him, he forgets what's there. That's why the movie lasts. That's why the speech works. That's why the midpoint matters. And that's why this structure still teaches screenwriters how to build a feature that doesn't sag, even at nearly 3 hours.